You might be saying, Rayanne, I don't understand the title of this video. Well, I am here to explain it to you today. My name is Rayanne Porte and I'm a faith-based health coach. In today's video, I'm going to be talking all about why, in our struggles with food and fitness, why the fight is actually against the devil and not food and fitness itself. In last week's video, I talked all about how God has saved us from all of our past struggles with food and fitness. But starting with this video from here on out, I'm going to be addressing how we can overcome our struggles in the day-to-day. So starting today, how we can from here on out leverage the gospel and how God is going to teach us how to overcome our food and fitness struggles going forward. So let's dive in. In his word, it talks about how our fight is not against flesh and blood, meaning any of these things up here, but instead our fight is against the powers of this dark world and the spiritual forces of evil, meaning the devil. So that's why I'll unpack now each one and talk about why that's not who our fight is against. But at the end, I'll talk about why our fight is against the devil. In my struggle with food and fitness, for a long time, I felt like the fight was against the food itself. And why was this? Well, the diet and fitness industry and many things out there want us to think that certain foods are good and certain foods are bad. And so in theory, you would think that, well, that would work. That would help me end my struggle. If sweets are bad, if I have no treats, no problems. Well, that did not really pan out for me. And why was that? Well, one of the reasons why was because that's pretty much impossible to maintain. To be able to control and omit and avoid sweets wherever I went was exhausting. And to be honest, did I need to really? Are all those foods really bad? Well, God says no. So, old law versus today. So if you're familiar with the Bible, in the Old Testament, God gave his chosen people, the Jews, a set of commandments, 613 to be exact, to tell them and show them how to live their life. So they implemented and executed those commandments in their life and followed those rules. And many of them were around food, eating certain foods and abstaining from others. Well, what happened when Jesus Christ died on the cross is he fulfilled that law. And so going forward, we're not under the law, but we're under grace. And so he says in Mark that now foods are not clean or unclean. He says, "Don't you see that nothing that enters a man from the outside can make him unclean? For it doesn't go into his heart, but into his stomach and then out of his body." In saying this, Jesus declared all foods clean. And so we can start to break down this mindset of certain foods being bad or certain foods being good. Well, when I did that in my journey, another thing happened. I started to think, well, okay, if certain foods aren't bad or good, and if I discovered that the more I restricted a certain food, actually, the more I wanted that food, well, then what's the solution there? Do I just not restrict? Well, that didn't work out for me either. And really, at the end of the day, God brought me a whole brand new perspective that had completely nothing to do with either extreme. And I'll be sharing more about that in future videos. So let's move on. My body. Many times in my fight, many times in my struggle, I thought that my fight was against my body. And why was that? Well, the diet and fitness industry and many other things were leading me to think initially that I needed to change my body and that my body wasn't good how it was. Well, then there were other things that started to tell me, no, you need to love your body. Your body is perfect as it is, and you just need to be so excited and enthralled with your body. And I didn't find that was helpful either. That kept me in this cycle thinking, well, I don't really know what to think about my body, and I'm just thinking about my body a lot. And that's not what God has intended for us. And the other reason why I thought that I was fighting my body was because I didn't trust my body. A lot of times in our struggle, we lose the ability to trust that our body can figure out food. And it's because we end up in these cycles where we might have lost being in tune with our hunger hormone or a satiety hormone, when really at the end of the day, God is telling us, okay, that's not working, it's keeping you in the cycle, really, I'm the solution twofold. One, because I have called your body a good thing. So it's not that we should be hating our body, like I talked about this last week, hating our body or worshiping our body, but let's claim the perspective that I created your body good. You are my handiwork. I fearfully and wonderfully created you. So you can be grateful for your body, but let's not teeter-totter on either extreme. And additionally, I've given you a body that you can trust, but I have to teach you how to trust it. And I can guide you through that process of staying in tune with what your body can naturally do if you give it a chance. So let's move on to number 3, the diet and fitness industry. I thought here, okay, well, if the diet and the fitness industry is the one giving me all these lies and deceiving me, we need to attack them. We need to tell everybody that these are lies, and we just need to focus on what they're doing or not doing, and telling everybody that this is really that they're really doing a lot of harm. When really at the end of the day, God was saying, Rayanne, that's doing really nothing to help you get out of your problems. It's really just not your fight to fight. So here he's saying that while on the surface that might seem like the cause of your struggles or that it would be helpful to fight that, it's really just spinning wheels. So let's talk about this last one here, our upbringing. So some of us might have experienced some painful things in our childhood or upbringing that influenced the way that we relate to food and fitness. And really what's going on is the devil wants to keep us ruminating about those things and stuck in a spot where we are so focused on this that we can't move forward now and overcome our food and fitness struggle from here on out. And so for me, what ended up happening is the more I held on to those things, the more bitter I became. And what was God calling me to? God was really calling me to forgive. And why is that? Well, I got to a point where I just realized that no one gives better mercy than one who is so desperately convinced that he needs it himself. And so I got to a point where not only was I so desperate for God's forgiveness with all the turmoil that my sin struggles put me through, but I was just grateful that he gave us his forgiveness. So how much more then can I look at what happened in my childhood as just a journey, as just forgiving that and laying that down and giving that over to him? Because I think a lot of times our journey with Christ is just realizing our own lostness. And so in realizing my own lostness, we realize that everybody else is going through their own journey of realizing that too. And so I think when I gave this to God, he then opened up my eyes to see what my struggle was truly against, and that is the devil. So let's talk for a minute about the devil. Who is the devil? Well, the devil is real. He was an angel who basically rebelled against God due to pride, and now he does anything and everything he can to keep us from an intimate relationship with Christ. So he distracts, he deceives, he discourages, and how does he does that? It's a spiritual battle. Our food struggles are a spiritual battle against the devil, and the battlefield is our mind. The battleground is our mind. So he, like I talked about this in previous videos, he sends us messages that make us form certain beliefs in order to act a certain way to keep us staying in our struggle. And he prohibits us from finding true freedom in Christ from our struggles. So the exciting thing is, starting in next week's video, I'm going to talk all about how we can fight the devil, how we can resist the devil, how we can put on our armor today to claim the victory that Christ has already won. Like, we already have everything in our power to fight the devil. We just need to know how to do it. And so I'll explain that starting out in next week's video. And what's interesting, and this is a little bit of a teaser for next week, is it's not what you would think. We don't use the weapons like you would think of a weapon as traditional weapon. This is actually our weapon. And so I'm very excited to kind of reveal to you the work that Christ did in showing me how to fight the devil, because it will bring you freedom, but it is not what you would think it would be. So that's all I have for you today with this video. Stay tuned in for next week's video. And of course, as always, if you want to reach out to me, feel free to do so. I would love to chat with you. If you want to talk about your own personal struggle with food and fitness, I am here for you. Have a great day, everyone.